And just need to get this Instagram feed going. And there we are. I am Coach James. I'm the creator and lead instructor for All About Aerodynamics, which is a science program where I use Hot Wheels cars to teach kindergarten through 6th grade students about a range of science and physics-related topics, including, but not limited to, force, friction, aerodynamics, drag, lift, Isaac Newton and his 3 laws of motion, kinetic energy, potential energy, elastic energy, elastic force, just a range of topics. After we have gone over the science, after we've conducted experiments to drive home those concepts, then and only then do I bring in about 400 different Hot Wheels cars, and each student has the opportunity to select a Hot Wheels car they think would be fastest in a series of races based on everything they've learned in the course. Once they have selected their cars, they examine their cars, they weigh their cars, they test the speed of their cars, they check the year the car was manufactured, the materials the car is made from. All of that information they enter into a spreadsheet. After they've collected all the information they can observe, then it's time to set up a 1/64th scale quarter-mile drag strip, and the students race the cars, and they observe how their cars perform. Did their cars perform up to or below their expectations? And if they had the opportunity, would they select those cars again, or would they make a different choice based on what they observed? In the end, we have fun with Hot Wheels cars, and we learn science. What could be better? If you'd like more information about our science program, All About Aerodynamics, then you can just go to our website, aerodynamics.com, or you can follow us on Instagram, Aerodynamics, and all of the information that you need to contact me is in the bio, and you can find out how to bring our program to your school or your organization or your special event. But this is not all about aerodynamics. This is All About Aerodynamics presents Wind Tunnel Wednesday. So what is Wind Tunnel Wednesday? Well, we have the 1/64th scale Windsible Wind Tunnel, so we can put Hot Wheels cars into the wind tunnel, turn it on, see how the air flows over, under, and around those Hot Wheels cars, and based on those observations, we can get information about the amount of drag the car will experience when it's on our track racing. Well, when is the car going to be racing? Every Saturday at 11 a.m. Pacific on YouTube and Twitch, we have AtTheTrack.live, where I introduce new cars into our fleet, and we have cars that viewers pick, and we take those to the track, and we have a little mini tournament, and we race the cars. And based on what we see in the wind tunnel, we can get an idea for how much drag the cars are going to face on the track. And when we race them on the track, it's pretty clear that drag is the predominant force that is going to impact the car's performance, unless something else weird happens and the car gets a bad launch. But for the most part, the cars that are able to minimize the impact of drag are the cars that are going to maintain their speed for longer down the track, and therefore perform better, win more races. So one place where you can get an idea about what kind of drag the cars will face is here, Wind Tunnel Wednesdays, where we'll put these cars into the wind tunnel and see exactly how the air flows over, under, and around the cars. And that is what we do. If you would like to participate, you can go to AtTheTrack.live. It's right down there at the bottom. And there are 3 options. One's the YouTube stream link, one's the Twitch stream link. The other is the most important. That is the link that says choose your car. If you select that option, you will be taken to this page. And on this page, all of the cars that are currently in the All About Aerodynamics AtTheTrack.live fleet are listed, cataloged, numbered, and ready to be selected. All you have to do is find the car that you want to see in the wind tunnel, and you would take the number. So let's go down, let's just pick a random number, 256. So if I go down to car 256, it is the Road Bandit. The red, let's see, streaming error. Let's see, I got a little message here. Continue. Just a little, I got a little error message there. But if you want to select the Road Bandit, then you can click on it, take a look at it, and if for some reason you think this is the car that is going to be fastest, that's going to win that race, then all you have to do is take the number, in this case 256, and there you go. Sure enough, you can have the Road Bandit in the wind tunnel. You can have the Road Bandit on the track. I don't know that I would select it. I don't know that it has been selected at all ever. I think those three cars, the yellow Road Bandit, the red Road Bandit, and this Quick Bite, this kind of ice cream truck here, none of those three have ever been selected. I think I used the Quick Bite once just to demonstrate how cars of a certain size and type will fly off of the track when given enough force. But other than that, I wouldn't pick those. But there are over 900, I believe there are 911 different cars for you to choose from. And we have cars from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, just a bunch of cars. And every style and type, even if we don't have the specific car that you're looking for, I'm sure we have a car that's very, very similar. And if you know the specific car you're looking for, all you have to do is just send me through a DM or in the chat the name of the car, and I will pull it and or check the spreadsheet to see if we have it. And then if we have it, I'll pull it and we will stick it in the wind tunnel. Hey, Christopher, how are you doing? Yes, I have your two cars already pulled. And so Christopher has two cars that he's considering, and we'll put those in the wind tunnel, take a look at those, and based on what he observes there, it'll probably help him settle on which car he wants to see race on Saturday. So once again, just go to AtTheTrack.live, select choose a car, find the car you want to put in the wind tunnel, and then you can see how much drag that car is likely to face. And unless it's a fantasy car, if it's a standard kind of regular car, then you will get some information about the drag and all of that, and you'll be able to kind of figure out what it is that is likely to help this car maintain its speed, or things that will probably slow the car down. But at any rate, if you win the tournament, if your car comes in first, you win the tournament, then you will have the opportunity to take on and face our fastest in-fleet car, the fastest Hot Wheels car on the planet. I'm talking about the BlitzSpeeder. There it is. It is just the most dominant car that we've seen on our track, and our track is a flat drag track, so it's different kind of considerations than you would take in for a car you pick for a gravity track. But one of our viewers, Never Ending, and I believe Christopher also, they have gravity track setups, and they also have BlitzSpeeders. So I'm very curious to see how the BlitzSpeeder performs on their gravity tracks. We already know what it does on the flat drag track, and on the flat drag track, it's lights out. But just because it performs well on that style of track doesn't mean it's going to do as well on a gravity track. So I'll be interested to find out how the car performs on those tracks. But for our track, this is, at this point, it's the perfect car. When we put it in the wind tunnel, which we're about to do, we'll see how the air flows right over this car, and it never separates. It just hits the hood, comes up to the windshield, the roof line, stays across this flat kind of back area, and then hits this wing, which is elevated. It's flat across the back, which presses right up against the launching block, which pretty much ensures that the BlitzSpeeder gets really good launches every time. Although this past Saturday, it won the first race by a lot. The second race, something weird happened with the launch, and the BlitzSpeeder was actually beaten in the second race, but our races are 2 out of 3. And we came back in the third race, and the BlitzSpeeder just blew the other one out. But it just goes to show that a good launch is important to every car. It's even a car that's as dominant as the BlitzSpeeder. So we will put a BlitzSpeeder into the wind tunnel. Hey, Roughshod, I've got your car pulled as well, so we'll be taking a look at that in the wind tunnel. Let's check out the BlitzSpeeder. It turns out that I have 3 BlitzSpeeders. I have this one, which is our champion, but I also have 2 other ones. I have a green BlitzSpeeder that I just picked up, and I have this one, which is this gold BlitzSpeeder, and our current BlitzSpeeder champion, fastest in fleet car, has raced against both of these BlitzSpeeders. So it's raced against the gold one and it's raced against the green one, and it beat both, but the races were close. The races were very close, as they should be, because it tells us that it's not that the one BlitzSpeeder is so spectacular and different. What it's telling us is that it's the shape and design of the car that is making the difference. And that means that regardless of whether it's the green BlitzSpeeder, the gold BlitzSpeeder, or the yellow BlitzSpeeder, the BlitzSpeeder itself is just a really fast and dominant car, and the reason why it is because it is able to reduce the impact of drag, and we are going to see right here as we crank up the Windsible. Now, there's usually a little puff of smoke that comes out, a little puff, and then we get, there it is right there. And now we're hitting our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour, and one of the things you can see is that it's a little faint. It'll be a little more clear as I turn the stream up, but the first stream of smoke, the second stream is hitting right the top of the bumper and just coming right up over the top. So let's turn this up, see if we can see a little more clearly. We are at 121 miles per hour, and again, what you're looking for is just how this air hits the car and flows right up over the top and to the back. You don't see a lot of turbulence in terms of the airflow. You don't see the air breaking away from the body of the car. Let's go ahead and turn this up. We're at 147 miles per hour. And yeah, the BlitzSpeeder is just, it's able to reduce the impact of drag. And then the weight, it's got a good weight. We say that there's a sweet spot in terms of weight. We're up to 161 miles per hour. That sweet spot is between 32 and 36 grams. Cars that are lighter than 32 grams tend to be impacted by drag, and that drag slows the cars down noticeably at the back end of our track. Cars that weigh more than 36 grams, gravity, the combination of their weight and getting the same amount of force as a lighter car pushed out of the launching block basically ends up with the heavier cars slowing down towards the back end of the track, and so that is not ideal. This is pushed up to 188 miles per hour, and again, it's just a smooth, even airflow right there. With most cars at the roof line then dips down, not with the BlitzSpeeder, and so the air just flows straight across this back top rear part of the car and right off the back. So any car that goes into the wind tunnel, you really want a similar aerodynamic profile to what you have here with the BlitzSpeeder. Christopher is saying that he's in Canada, and our cruising speed up in Canada is 50 miles per hour in Fort Frances on the Trans-Canada Highway, It's 100 miles per hour. Nice. I mean, I guess it's nice depending on if you have a car that can handle that. All right, let's take a quick look here. You don't really get too much in terms of the camera view of, you know, you don't get as much information really in looking at the cars in the wind tunnel from different angles on video, I've noticed, because the color of the smoke and the reflection of the lights kind of blends in. In person you can see a lot more. So for example, the airflow under the car, it's kind of spilling out in around the sides, but since most of these Hot Wheels cars are all flat on the bottom, there really isn't there's not really all that much of a difference. That's the area where they're all pretty much similar, is going to be right there when you're talking about the actual hang on, there we go, the bottom of the car. In terms of the shape, they're all flat. So sometimes they'll have a little you know, you might see a little transmission or something. You'll see something on the bottom of the car, but really for the most part we're only talking about very minor differences on the bottom. So that's why when we have the cars in the wind tunnel, what happens on the bottom of the car isn't necessarily as important. Let's see, we're gonna check out this circle tracker. This is one of the cars that Christopher is considering, and the version that I have is the character car, the Spider Woman. Oh, this one's Spider Girl. Spider Girl character car, and it's pretty, I don't, you know, just pretty standard car. Although the back end is kind of extended, so we'll see how that does or doesn't help. It may help that the airflow right here, as it comes across the roof, maybe it doesn't just spiral off and separate from the body. Perhaps it will flow down a little bit and make it to this wing. The back end is got a slight curve to it, very slight, but not so much that I think it's going to impact the launch that the car gets. It's got this wing right here, flat, and so if that sticks out evenly with that bumper, then it's going to get a pretty solid, it should get a pretty solid push out of the launching block, and that really is what we want to see. So let's go ahead and put this one into the wind tunnel and see. We've got our little wheel stands I put together with just a couple of little pieces of scrap wood in order to keep the cars in place. The cars had a tendency to kind of roll forward when I locked the wind tunnel shut, and that was usually a problem, a bit of a problem. Just want to get this car lined up straight. There we go. All right, so we've got the car lined up. This is the circle tracker. Christopher says it reminds him of the old NASCAR Cup Series cars with that square wing in the back, and I can see that. Here we go. Starting up at our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour, and if we look, it'll be a little more defined as we turn the speed up, but it seems like that air was starting to kind of flow away right here in this area. But let's go ahead and turn it up and see if we can get a little bit more definition, although I will show you this. You can see how the air builds up right around the front, and then it has to go somewhere, over, under, and around, and that's basically what the car has to push through as it moves down the track. And as the car moves faster, then that force, the drag, has more of an impact. So that is why you see, I just saw a post, we're up to 121 miles per hour, where Lamborghini introduced a new car. And it's so funny because I have no idea. I mean, you see how much these things cost, and obviously I'm not in that market, but they said they were only making 29 of them, and they were already completely sold out. But when they were showing the car, so much of the design of all those cars, the Lamborghinis, the Paganis, all those like supercars and hypercars, is so much of it is about controlling the airflow. And that is what you want to do, whether it's an F1 car where you're trying to control the airflow to create downforce, or if it is if it's a supercar where you're just trying to reduce the amount of drag. So with this one, we're up to 161, and what I'm seeing is the airflow is fine for the most part. Now we do have like a little bit of a haze as the air comes up and hits the windshield. Some of it's coming around the side, so there is like a bit of a haze there. And I think that's one thing with the BlitzSpeeder, is that on a regular car similar to this, there's always that angle of transition from the hood to the windshield, and the air is going to hit that windshield and then come up over the top and then do whatever it's going to do. And what the Windsible decided to do was turn off, but that's no problem. I'll just crank it right back up. But we can see the lines of the car, but the air will hit the windshield and then come up. And once it comes up to the roof line, once we get around here, it just kind of tails off straight. And the reason why that matters is because when the air separates from the body of the car, you're creating this pressure drag, which means that there's lower pressure where the air is separating from the body. There's higher pressure at the front. Pressure is always trying to move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure. So that means front to back. So that's the area that it's kind of pressing against. But the car is moving forward. It's moving from, in this case, from right to left. Meanwhile, pressure is pushing it from left to right. So it's got to fight through that. So if it can reduce the amount of pressure drag, then that's less of a force opposing the moving of the car. And that means the car is going to be able to maintain its speed for longer. We're up to 147 miles per hour. And then we're at 161, 174, 188, 201, and 215. And so we're not really seeing, even at 215 miles per hour, we're not really seeing a change in what we're observing. And so even if we're at 215, but when I take it back down to say 161, there's not a noticeable change. So what we are seeing is that the airflow does kind of break away from the car, the body of the car, right about here. And even when we speed it up, it's still breaking away at the same point. So it just goes to show like that consistency is there. And we will see if the circle tracker is a car that ultimately Christopher ends up selecting, or if he goes with his other pick, which the car that he picked, we have a version in the fleet, and we've raced it, but I picked one up just recently in the store because I really liked the car, and I saw a different color variation of it. And with cars that Hot Wheels cars that I like, if I just see a different color scheme and setup, then I'm in. They can go ahead and take my money. And it is this one. It is the VW T3 Custom, the one that we have in the fleet, and the one that would be racing on Saturday if Christopher picks it. It's the exact same one. It's just brown. It's got a gold and brown color scheme. This one I liked. Crack it open. And this one first we're definitely going to take a look at over here. Because it's so unique. And the thing that's unique is that right here, so the body, there's a space here. I'll show it. If you look at the curve, it's essentially like got a teardrop shape. Because this part of the body curves in, and if you look at it from the back here, it curves in and comes to this point. And basically it is a teardrop shape. If we were to remove the roof, we would see that it just curves in to right there. And that is an ideal shape. The teardrop is the most aerodynamic shape there is. And so in theory what should happen is the air along the side should flow here and then pull right back along that area into the body through that little opening and right to the back. But the problem with the teardrop is, with this car especially, is the front, because it's not curved. We had that Nemo car, and that was curved all around the front. This one is flat right here. So what's going to happen is the air is going to hit this large frontal area and pile up right here, and then eventually it's going to have to go over, under, and around. But that's a lot of air and a lot of pressure piling up right in the front of this car. So while the back part, the middle and the back, have a good kind of aerodynamic look and structure to them, that is not, it's not going to help, because this air that hits the top is just going to come. There's like a little visor, a little lip right here. That air is going to come up over the top, and it'll probably just look very chaotic and messy. And I think that's going to be the issue with this one. This huge frontal area creating a lot of pressure right at the front. So let's go ahead and throw this into the wind tunnel. Although I really like this this design. I think it's great. Don't think it's going to necessarily be all that fast, but we shall see. So let's go ahead and throw this into the wind tunnel and see what we get. Kind of results. And with this one, because it's so big, I probably didn't even need the little wheel stands, but we'll put those in there anyway. And close this down and take a look and see what happens. Yeah, I think it's a great little design, great color scheme. And so we can already see right there in the front, look at all like this air that's just building up, just hitting the front of this thing. It's just a wall of air and pressure right there. And then it has to figure out, all right, I'm going around. A lot of it's coming around the sides. Some of it is coming up over the top. And then it just kind of flows away there. So let's go ahead and turn this up, because we weren't even at our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour, but now we are. And you can really just see it. As I turn this up faster, this will like lighten, but still. All right, so let's see. We're moving up to 94 miles per hour, 107. And to 121. Going up higher, 134. 147 miles per hour. And it really, I mean, it's gotten a little thinner, but you still just see all this air, this pressure building up right here. And so this car has to push through that. And this high pressure here, lower pressure to the back, is going to work against this thing. We're up to 188 miles per hour, and it still is just a wall of air that this thing is having to push through with that large frontal area. You compare that to the BlitzSpeeder, which barely has just like a small point at the front of the car, and that's how it's able to, part of the reason why it's able to kind of reduce the drag. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, there is like a little vortex you're seeing right here on the windshield. And I think some of that is because all that air is kind of spilling around the sides. Because it just hits. And it's just trying to, it's got to go somewhere. And from that view, you can see the air just spilling around the side of the vehicle. So in no way is any of the air sort of flowing alongside with the body of the car. It's just kind of spilling out all over. And that is why this van, now, if we put it up against similar vans, like maybe the ID Buzz would be a comparable matchup. But when we're just talking about against the other cars that it's probably likely to face, don't have really high hopes for this one. But you never know. Actually, with this one we do know, because we raced it. I forget what number. This is number 745, and we're at 911. So probably that would have been sometime maybe about a year ago. Probably sometime in the fall. So this is, I love the look, the design, the colors, everything about this, the wheels, the rim, all of that. But it's just a shape. Let's see, what parts are metal? I believe just the white part is metal. This blue is plastic. So I don't think it's, even if this car ends up with a lot of weight to it, I think it would just be because of the overall size. But pretty much when I'm looking at it, it seems like everything, all the blue, which includes the interior, is all plastic, and then this white part is the metal part. So those are, yeah, pretty much just, it's pretty much like the bus. So those are the two options that Christopher will be looking through. And then Roughshod has a couple of picks that he's considering. So the first one is this one, pretty traditional, and I think kind of like the circle tracker in a way, in that it's very kind of a standard. This is the muscle bound, and pretty much, I mean, it's a good looking, just Hot Wheels fantasy muscle car. You can see like a lot of Charger in there. Probably if I look a little closer, but I think when I first look at it, a Charger is what I start thinking. But there's nothing really that I can see wrong with this car as far as a pick, and I don't remember necessarily seeing this one perform, but what I do like also, I like the stance. It's got the wider wheels at the back, the bigger, wider wheels at the back, standard wheels at the front. I like that shark theme on there. So we will go ahead and take a look at this one. in the wind tunnel. And let's see what the muscle bound is telling us. And this is, I like having, even though this is a fantasy car, this is only a fantasy car in the sense that it doesn't actually exist, but we can see the influence of the cars that kind of inspired the Hot Wheels designers in the first place. And I think Charger is still right kind of where I'm at with this one. Maybe a little Camaro in there too. So let's go ahead and check this one out. This is the muscle bound. And this is one of the cars that Roughshod is considering. Gonna go ahead and hit our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And yeah, I think this is similar to the Circle Tracker in that we're getting a very standard, kind of predictable look in terms of what's happening with the smoke. It is hitting the front and then just having to move up over the top. And as we turn this up, we'll see if that smoke that hits in the front, is it going to follow a clean line across the hood? We see the angle on that windshield, but let's go ahead and take a look, turn this up. We're up to 107 miles per hour and 121, 134. We're up to 147 miles per hour, and again, what we're seeing, that unlike the BlitzSpeeder, this air, so it's building up this high pressure in the front, coming up over along the hood, hitting this windshield, coming up, and for the most part, as we turn this up, we're up to 174 miles per hour. The air is pretty much flowing right here off this, right down the back end. And as I look here, it's a little tough to see because there's not as much contrast on the video as there is looking at it in person. And this air is coming off the roof and pulling off pretty straight, but yeah, Roughshod says he's not liking what he's seeing at the front bumper, and it is kind of tall. It's not as sharp an angle. It has the area right here, there's the bumper at the bottom, then the headlights, and it just creates a little bit of, not as much frontal area as that VW, but it's enough that the air is kind of having to push up over the top. And back here, we're definitely getting areas of lower pressure, here higher pressure, so we're going to get that pressure drag, and we'll see if this is the car that he ends up going with, whether or not it ends up slowing it down. Usually it would be towards the back end of the track, but it really depends on which car this is matched up against. I think if this car goes up against, if Christopher ends up picking the Circle Tracker and it goes up against this car, then I think we may be in for a pretty good race, just because matchups really kind of define how good the races are. We're going to turn this up, go to 188 miles per hour. And really, as we increase the speed, we're just seeing a more clear example of what we see pretty much at those lower speeds as well. So we're talking about right here, the air pressure building up, and we saw that even at the lower speeds. At the higher speeds, it's building up, it's still building up, but the drag will impact cars more significantly the faster they move. And we know that on our track, our cars are moving extremely fast, so drag is the most important factor in most of these races. I'm going to grab car number 73, which is the other one Roughshod is considering. We'll let the muscle bound just roll in the wind tunnel while I grab that car, and I'll be back in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and take this back down. So, I mean, it's a pretty standard for a muscle car and a kind of traditional car. I don't think that it was terrible. I just don't know that when you're talking about, so could it compete with cars like the Circle Tracker? Absolutely. Could it compete with cars like the Blitz? Well, see, the BlitzSpeeder, that's not really fair because no car has been able to compete with the BlitzSpeeder. But some of our faster cars that we've seen, could it compete with those? Hard to say, but I don't know. Let's take a look at the other car that Roughshod is considering. He says number 73. I have it in a separate case, so I need to check to see which car it is, which is this one. Okay, he's considering the Formula Street, which I have right here. And this one is interesting because it's basically like a fantasy F1 car of sorts, but it doesn't have that wing at the back. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one right here. And one thing right from the beginning is obviously it doesn't have the wing, but the driver's canopy is interesting because it has this little plastic shield that goes right up over the top. And one of the things that we see when we have F1 style cars is that this open driver's canopy creates an opportunity for the airflow to be disrupted as it hits the driver and whatever the back area is. Whereas with this one, the airflow should hit this and flow right up over the top. Now, here's one thing they didn't do. Right here, if I can get it in focus, they didn't put this cover doesn't go all the way to the top, doesn't go all the way up there, so it still leaves a little area here that could possibly trap air inside as this thing is going down the track. You can see it there that this cover comes in, but it doesn't go to the top. I think if it went to the top, that would be perfect, but we'll see. It's also a metal base. Everything else is plastic. So in theory, kind of that lower center of gravity in a sense. But the plastic body sitting on the metal base, no wing. That's interesting. But this part, I think it's going to help. But then this little opening, I don't know. That we'll hopefully be able to see something in the wind tunnel that will give us a little bit more information. The back end here is flat, so it's got a flat back end. It's got this metal diffuser, but it's only just kind of cut to look like that. It's got a little bit in there. Oh, you want 79? Okay, so then this one, the Formula Street, is not the pick. Let me grab 79 and see which one that is. Okay. All right, so that was not the pick. Roughshod instead wants to go with this one. High voltage. So here we are right here. This is a bigger car. Kind of a, I almost want to say fantasy hatchback, but there's no hatch in the back. Very, very interesting. It does have a bigger frontal area than some of the other cars we've seen, but well, not as big as the VW, but overall, it does have this kind of rounded out shape. It's got a small little wing right there. Larger tires in the back. Not too much of a strange or a steep angle between the transition from the hood to the windshield. So we'll see how that works out. And let's go ahead and drop it in the wind tunnel and take a look at this one. This is high voltage, and we will see whether or not Roughshot ends up going with high voltage or sticking with the muscle bound. All right, this car in there, and nice shape to it. Let's see what it can do and what we can observe in the wind tunnel. Bump it up to our cruising speed of 67 miles per hour. And there definitely, at least right from the beginning, seems to be less air building up right at the front. It has a better flow to it. Let's push this up to 121 miles per hour and see what we can see. It looks like that air that's flowing up over the roof, it's getting seems a little rough. Going up to 161 miles per hour. We are it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Let's turn this up. 174 miles per hour. And we have air, of course, underneath, as we do with most of these Hot Wheels cars, spilling out from underneath. But again, all of these cars are flat on the bottom, so all of that is going to be equal for the majority of these cars, what's happening on the bottom. And what's really going to be different is what's happening up top. So we're at 174 miles per hour. Let's turn it up to 188. And at 188 miles per hour, I think this car has a good solid aerodynamic flow to it. And I don't see anything particularly problematic. I don't see a lot of turbulence up top, because this roof line flows right to the back of the car, so there's no drop off, so we don't have that point where the airflow breaks away from the body of the car. So that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and turn it up, see what happens at 201 miles per hour. Not all that much difference. Once we hit a certain speed, everything we're seeing is pretty similar. This car looks to be plastic on metal base. I think all that green is plastic. Almost certain. I'll double check when I pull it out, but yeah, we're at 201 miles per hour. And I think what we see is kind of what we see, that airflow just making its way right over the car. As we slow this back down, shut it down, and we are there with the high voltage. which is one of the cars Roughshod is considering. So this car is, let me bring it back over to the other side. This car is, yes, it is a metal base, plastic body, and that plastic body is everything in green, silver, and this yellow golden top. The one thing we can't know until just before race day, if this is the car you happen to pick, is, oh, it is. Here we go. So this is the car that Roughshod has picked to race on Saturday. It is the high voltage, and we will check out the weight on Saturday before the races and see if it can fall into that sweet spot. Let's look at the back end of it. Back end is pretty flat. Looks good. Let me just check to make sure it fits into the launcher. It does fit into the launcher. It is this car is a little wider at the back than it is at the front. Yeah, this bumper, it's a good solid flat bumper. And we have Christopher has decided he is going with the Circle Tracker. So these two cars are going to be in the tournament on Saturday. We are also going to have other cars that I introduce into the fleet. I've got tons of cars in storage, and I'm trying to work through the cars in storage, but I can't help myself from picking up new cars, cool cars when I see them. And I've got to go to the grocery store later on tonight, and I am I'm absolutely going down the Hot Wheels aisle. Whether or not I see anything worth picking up, I don't know. We'll see. So that is what we have going on. We've got cars that have been in the wind tunnel. We have cars that are possibly going to be racing on Saturday. And then we have the science of what we just saw. And let me find those two graphics. So basically just talking about the air, about the areas of pressure. And the air that moves over the car is moving slower, so it's higher pressure. And the air that's moving under the car is moving faster with lower pressure. And so pressure is trying to move from the areas of high pressure to the areas of low pressure. So that means that the pressure is basically pushing down. That air is trying to get to go underneath the car, which is why side skirts kind of block that, prevent that from happening. That's what they're designed to do. And also how you can create downforce to keep the car's tires sort of stuck to the ground, which is a lot of the point in F1 racing, is getting that downforce so those cars can make the turns that they need to make. And we have the Coanda effect, which explains how a moving fluid like air tends to follow a curved surface. And that's what we see in the wind tunnel, is that air is flowing along the curve of the car. And at some point where it breaks off from following the curve of the car, that's when it starts to create an area of low pressure. And again, since the air is trying to move from areas of high pressure to areas of low pressure, then that creates pressure drag, which is just another force that the car has to fight against. So a car that can minimize the impact of drag is going to be the car that maintains its speed for longer on our track. And as we've seen, that is pretty much the BlitzSpeeder. That's it. The BlitzSpeeder minimizes the impact of drag. Let's see. Christopher's saying, can I get my son to help me out on organizing the cars from fantasy to real cars? No. Well, number one, he's got a job and he's works a lot. So he helped me get the cars organized to number them like right at the beginning. When we just had a pile of Hot Wheels cars and had to go through and look them up and number them, and it was a lot of work to do that. So that's pretty much how they're organized now. What I could do is in the spreadsheet, if I wanted to go through, I could put like an R for real car and F for fantasy car, but I'd have to do that for 911 cars in the spreadsheet, and honestly, I'm not going to do that. But it's just that's a lot of work. But I think that one thing I'm still trying to work out is getting a search function on the website, but Squarespace is not trying to make that a simple process. So you pretty much are stuck just having to scroll through. One of the things I will say is that all of the cars from, I believe, 450, when you see the backgrounds change, all these cars with the black background are sort of the original cars that were in the fleet before I started doing AtTheTrack.live. All of the cars that, when the backgrounds change to like blue or whatever color it is, right there. So all the cars from 451 all the way to 911, all of those cars have raced on the track. Now it's possible that those cars could come back and race again and do well. Maybe there was some reason why they lost. But every car from number 451 all the way to 911 has already raced and lost. Like, if it was going to be faster than the BlitzSpeeder, it would be here. But it's possible that that a car just got a bad launch or something happened and it's actually fast and can come back and win. I'm thinking that the car that is going to be faster than the BlitzSpeeder, actually look at this AMC Javelin AMX, that looks like that Muscle Bound. And this, again, this is a real car, but that Muscle Bound is clearly taking influences from a bunch of different sources. No, see, I can't change. I mean, I could, in theory, change the website host from Squarespace to Wix or somebody else, but I've put together this gallery that I've put together of all these 900 cars, and the fact that they're organized and you can click on them. I would have to do that all over again. I would have to type out the names for all of these cars and the numbers, and it took us weeks to get this all put together. And so, yeah, with the search function, it's a hassle. Personally, and it's something that I don't like, but it's not like the complete deal breaker that's going to make me want to do all of this work all over again. The only thing that would make me consider is when Squarespace, when they update their system, and so like, I don't know what this is, but let's say it's version 8. When they come out with version 9, sometimes you can't just update your website. You have to basically build it all over again. If they do that and they put me in a position where I have to build the website all over again from scratch in order to update, then I will look for a different host company and consider doing this all over again. But for now, this gallery is pretty much the most important part of this whole setup. So I like it. You just can't search it, so it just gives you a reason to kind of scroll through and check out the different Hot Wheels cars. And maybe in doing that, for example, let's say the search function worked and I was searching for a 71 Mustang Mach 1. Well, it's right here, number 556. But then, if I just jump right to what I'm looking for, then maybe I don't, scroll through and take a look at some of these other ones. And maybe there's a car that I was never considering that I missed out on. Now this Vanster right here, that'd be an interesting race. The Vanster versus that VW versus the ID Buzz. That would be a cool and even race. But anyway, we have 911 cars for you to choose from. You can find the car you want, take the number, drop it in the chat. Join us on Saturday for At The Track Live, and we will pull your car, enter it into the tournament, and it will be, we'll find out if your car and the car you pick has what it takes to beat the other cars that are selected, to beat the circle tracker, maybe, to beat high voltage, maybe, to beat whichever cars I introduce, and if it can do all that, maybe it can beat the BlitzSpeeder. I don't know. We're still looking for that car. So that is where we're going to be. Saturday, 11 a.m. Pacific, At The Track Live, YouTube, Twitch, and we will be back here next Wednesday for Wind Tunnel Wednesdays with more cars, different cars in the wind tunnel, taking a look at that, taking a little more of a scientific look at Hot Wheels racing. And yeah, I've got a few little Hot Wheels related projects that I am going to be, there's no scheduled time. I'll probably just pop on live at some point, see what I can do with a couple of these cars that I need to take care of, including this Riley Scott Mark III, where I bought some little snips the other day, and I'm going to try and just cut off this part so that this car can actually fit into our launcher and race, because right now it does not. This thing, that it gets caught right there and prevents the car from getting a good clean launch. So we'll see how that all works out. But for All About Aerodynamics, for At The Track Live, and for Wind Tunnel Wednesday, I am Coach James, and until next time, I will see you at the races.